All right, you guys. So in today's episode, I got hella questions for you guys. The first one, we'll just get right into it. Serkan, Miley, you guys are not new to this show, so we'll skip the introduction. What are some red flags that you have ignored in the past, but now you recognize and won't compromise on?
Oh man, tough one. Want me to go first?
Yeah, you first.
I think for me the biggest red flag is when uh, a woman is kind of losing control in fights. When we're having a fight, and then you can see in their eyes that they're not there yet, like they're gone, and they're going crazy, and then that keeps happening over and over again, right? And it's just maybe a couple minutes of your day, but then it sticks, right? So now I'm looking out for those. Like if even if we're having a fight and she's super mad, she needs to be there still.
You're saying she's just a sore loser and she kind of gets lost in the losing?
Yeah, and then she's no longer logical, right? Like just screaming and like losing control. That's something that you can't change that, right? That's gonna stick.
Basically being a sore loser.
Yeah,
right?
kind of like that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you
I
say?
don't know. Do you think when you're emotional, it's kind of hard to control?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I mean, but you're saying an extreme case. So you just off the top of your head said one. Anything that you could think of off the top that used to and not anymore?
I think I look for someone to be kind. So if I notice that a guy's kind of selfish or putting himself first, that's a red flag for me.
That's pretty much all of us.
At least me and you. No, but I get what she's saying. She's saying that when there's two people that are selfless, they put each other first instead of put themselves first. So then it works. It's way more compatible that way.
Yeah, I mean, they're just, thinking of little things, just to be like gentlemanly or, chivalrous. Just the little things that.
But maybe it's what she wants. It's not necessarily gentlemanly and chivalrous, but it's the little things that she can't like see without.
Like, okay, so I went on a date with a guy once, and like we went to the Laguna Beach Film Festival, and they gave us swag bags when we went. And I was like really excited about this book that I got in the swag bag. Like he got free tickets to the Laguna Beach Film. So it's not like he paid for us, right? We got the swag bag. I was excited about this book. He's like, oh yeah, I want to put one in my office and I'm going to put one at my house. So he claimed both swag bags. And I was like, okay, this guy's like hella selfish.
All right, yeah.
That was a red flag for me.
Yeah, that's not cool.
That's not cool.
Okay. Me, red flags. I think a lack of communication. I noticed that when people are just like totally like synced, that communication happens real flawlessly. It only takes a second to text someone back or communicate where you're at that moment. Like I can't talk right now. But that happens seamlessly and naturally when it's the right fit, and when it's not, sometimes you try to deal with it, and then later it just becomes something that you knew you weren't cool with in the beginning. So that's a red flag for me, is like the tardy communication. Prompt communication for me is always way better, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a gauge of interest, right? If someone wants to talk to you, they'll respond to you.
Or I've heard the word priorities be used.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Even if you're super busy, right, and you can't talk right now, you have that 2 seconds to text me, I'm busy, right? And then I don't have to start thinking in my head, like, where is she? What's she doing? Like, going
and there's this whole philosophy of like games where, okay, now you're intentionally holding back the timing, right, but that's a different story. But I don't know. That's like, I've heard billionaires text back in super speed, Yeah. So if that motherfucker is doing that so quick, what's your excuse? So
they say that about Mark Cuban all the time, right? You email him, he responds immediately at 2 a.m. at night. And that's the value he's bringing, right? Like if he's not responsive and I'm asking a quick question, he's not getting back to me, why do I care about him, right? It's same with your relationship, I think. Like if you're not there all the time, there's no quitting, then you're not there, right?
Yeah. Okay, so that's the question number one. We all
Yeah.
answered it in our own unique way. Let's see. Would you? Okay, this is directed at a female because of the nature of the question. Would you change your last name when getting married? And then for the male, would you have a problem with your girl not changing her last name when getting married?
Go for it.
So if he really wanted me to, I probably would. If he didn't really care about it, then I probably wouldn't, just because I'm already pretty far in my career. That's kind of like my brand. That's how people know me. Everything's registered under my current name. It's not that I'm so attached to it, it's just the hassle of it. But if he really wanted it, then I would do it.
Yeah. For me, the rule is stupid, by the way. Why are everyone using their father's last name, right? Like, kind of, I'm not sure why. I know why. I mean, it's a male-dominant world. It's been like that for hundreds of years. But at the same time, I didn't do this, right? It's not my fault. But at the end of the day, if she's not willing to take my name, I kind of don't feel like, what's the right word? I don't want to say kind of taking ownership of the relationship.
Don't be a pussy. Just say it the way it is.
It is what it is, right? I mean, you gotta be the king of the house, right? And I think it's important. I think the female, they can keep their last name, but add mine to it as well.
Okay,
right?
so let's just acknowledge this right now, Miley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry, it's gonna be a hassle. You're gonna have to. I wouldn't wish that upon me. And now you got to go through, change all your accounts, change all your things. You know, I get that. That's it's annoying.
But if I have to do it, then he has to be for real. Like, this has to be forever. I'm only changing my name once.
Right.
Dude, for
That's the other
real.
thing after
Imagine being a
divorce.
girl. Seriously, like I'm putting my life on the line for you, and so it's like a claiming thing. You know, is how bad does he want you? How bad is he claiming you? If he's okay with you not doing it, then that's cool too. But if he's insisting you do, then there's another level of commitment there versus, I don't know, is it a higher level of commitment now? You get married and then there's one level higher. It's like now you got a name.
I don't know. I mean, if you get married, that should be it. But
you're a divorce lawyer.
yeah.
And you just said your natural inclination, you know, is like that's what he wanted. So okay, that's a tough one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no right answer there, right? Even though we'll lean toward like, yeah, bitch, go through the fucking extra hassle. Like, I'm going to make you do that. And I'm going to be selfish about that because I'm claiming you. But then you're like, okay, if you're claiming me, like really, really till death, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if she's kind of embracing the last name and making it part of her brand, then that's okay. Like my ex-wife did this, for example, right? So she dropped her middle name. She hated that. She moved her maiden name into her middle name and then took my last name, which is 7, right? Like the number 7.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of a cool brand to have, right? So now she's keeping it after we got divorced. She's still using my last name, right?
Hey, bitch, give me my name back.
She made it her name. I mean, it's her name.
So does it bother you that she's keeping your last name?
It doesn't bother me because it's not mine. It's her name now. Like I have nothing to do with it, and she made it her brand. Like Lauren 7 is her brand. L7, people call her L7, right? So it's not mine, but it bothers my girlfriend a lot.
Oh,
because you put your stamp on someone else basically, and you're not taking it back. I'm like, I don't care. I mean, we're in good terms with my ex-wife as well. We don't hang out or anything like that. She lives in Chicago now, so. I mean, I don't care at all, but I understand why my girlfriend doesn't like it.
I don't think that our grandparents even thought this was even a fucking question, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah,
the
it's just
women just
given.
did it and the men just thought you were supposed to do it. Now it's like it's different now.
I think with gay marriage, it's people are reevaluating what this is all about, right? Because when 2 men or 2 women come together, now what happens? Whose last name are we going to use? That question is kind of spilling into the heterosexual relationships as well, where women are now asking the same question: why am I taking your last name? It's fair. It's fair.
So okay, so the whole okay, the last name thing. Any other comments on this? Because this is like this is one of those questions where it's like, oh, we feel like there's a right and wrong answer, but then if you want to be politically correct, you're like, okay, there's no right and wrong answer. But then at the end of the day, it does come down to a lot of different factors. Like, is she a little bit older? Is she established and later in life, or is she like super young? Is you know, is that brand? Are you guys gonna make that brand like you said? Like when you say like power couple brand, I think Cardone. I don't know why, and like she fucking just jumped. At first, I guess the girl was resistant, and then she jumped on the bandwagon, and like that is their brand now, like you said.
Yeah.
So like the Cardones and so is it kind of like saying okay, now we're going on a different. Is it kind of like saying like, no, motherfucker, I'm my brand and you're your brand and we're our own brands? Or is it kind of just saying like, is that kind of what she's saying when she says I'm not changing my last name? Like we're our own separate brands. We're not one brand together.
I think so. Yeah. There has to be some sort of standardization here in the community, right? Like, if we're getting together as a married couple, now we need to create a new brand, right?
You know what's
And then-
embarrassing is when you go somewhere and you have little ones like kids, right? And then another family's like, oh, Mrs. Cardone. And then like you look over and that's not the person that matches up.
Right.
That might get awkward when there's like a real life situation there.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why women won't change their last name after they get divorced.
Because they were so attached to that.
No, because of the children. Because they
okay.
want to have that association.
That makes sense. Okay, so there's real life, not consequences, but like situation, implications, and then there's like the whole traditional. You want to think about it traditionally versus like new age. We all know about.
What do you think of hyphenated names?
I still think that's the same thing.
What do you mean? It's okay, or you'd rather not?
I think it's might as well just like not change it. It's the same.
Oh,
thing.
really?
Yeah.
So she has to take your name, and that's
you
it.
Just have an extra long name now.
So when you hyphenate, does the man get the woman's last name as well?
No,
Just the female does that?
Usually, yeah. She
Yeah.
does. And then in like Latin cultures or Hispanic cultures,
I can't stand that.
They take their mom and their dad's last name. So it's fair. They take both of their parents' last name.
Fairly stupid. Yeah, I'm not with the whole long last names. I don't even have a middle name, you guys. Do
Me
you guys?
neither. No, I love it.
I do.
You do? Okay. Long name person.
3 names.
Okay, so let's just get to the next question before I start disrespecting middle name people. Let's see. What if? Oh, okay. This one's controversial. What if your partner thought that therapy was a joke and would not consider it?
So, I mean, therapy's only going to work if they're open to it. So, I mean, even if you force someone to go to therapy, it's not going to work. It's not going to have any effect if they're not open to it. So whether or not you think they really need therapy. And
No. You missed the question. Okay, I'm going to read it again.
Yeah, sorry.
It wasn't like he was even... What if your partner thought it was a joke and he would not even consider it?
Yeah. So, I mean, if he's not considering it, basically he's not agreeing to therapy. Even if you were force him to go, it wouldn't work because he doesn't agree with it. So...
No, there's no if you would force him to go. He's not even considering it.
So it's just like
you're with that kind of person.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that?
That would be a problem if you think he really needs therapy because.
Oh, I love how you answered that.
Yeah.
Because what if he didn't? He was just a totally non-broken, healthy guy. He doesn't need it. He doesn't like. Then he shouldn't go. But if you assessed him and he didn't, then that would be unfair.
That's whatever the problem is between you is still going to be there. How do you resolve that?
I think I think you're right. I think if the girl was smart enough to realize that like, yo, I don't need that shit, right? Mm-hmm. I would rather talk to a billionaire and get my therapy from him, right? But since I'm a well-adjusted person, I'll go for the sake of it.
Okay.
Right? since you recognize that it's a joke, I think it's a joke. You know that, and I know that. To make you happy now because you were so understanding, I'll be understanding equally.
Okay, that makes sense. I was that guy, actually. I thought it was a joke. And I would make fun of people who go to therapy all the time. I'm like, just get a glass of whiskey, get over it, bro, kind of thing. But now I see the value. It's not about, now I understand it's not about the person who's talking to you, but it's about yourself, right? When you go to therapy. I understand that. So my answer is, I think that could change, right? It's not a red flag, it's something I would just walk away from. I know they might change.
When did your opinion change? After you went, or?
I think after I started living by myself, like trying to earn a living, you get broken. Like things happen. I got fired, for example. I had to move around the country. Those kind of things. There's a point when you realize, okay, I can't deal with this myself, and whiskey is not enough, right? Even though it's beautiful, it's not enough.
If I know that you felt like that, I would have offered you some. No, I'm just kidding. So you thought it was a joke, and then you kind of went through some little wham drama that you just explained, and then you thought, okay, now that shit kind of helped a little bit, right? So like, I'm not gonna be totally closed off to it. So there was a need for it, but that wasn't forced upon you. You made that decision.
No. Well, when I was married, my ex basically set up time with a couples therapist and didn't even tell me until the day of it. And I was pissed, right? Like, I don't want to deal with this shit. But then when I went there, I realized I can vent off here with her sitting by my side, and I don't have to deal with the, consequences.
But still in that case, you were the problem.
Oh, of course, it's always the man.
But did you think that?
No. But in the assumption in this question is it's not the man. But go ahead, sorry.
So in that first session, how did you feel afterward? Did you agree to keep going?
Yes, I did. We actually went to that guy a couple more times, and because the guy was super experienced, I think he realized immediately that I think this is complete bullshit, right? So he was kind of favoring me throughout the session. So even though I felt like he's favoring me, I like that, right?
That encouraged you to keep going.
Right, because we're bringing up some conflicts. He's taking my side constantly. I'm like, all right, I like this guy.
He suckered you, bro.
Yeah. Took my money too.
But you were it was worth the money to pay for a listening ear.
Yeah.
Do you think that he was effective in making your ex understand like your point of view?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a very good question, and answer is no. And that because then she's like, all right, this guy doesn't get me, but he got me. Right. So we got another guy, went to that guy. Now that guy's favoring me as well. So maybe we needed a woman, right? I mean, I don't know. Like both therapists didn't see the female perspective, in my opinion. That's why she didn't benefit from it, but I kind of liked it.
Were you able on your own to learn her perspective, even though the therapists weren't that effective?
Apparently not. We're divorced.
Okay. Blame the therapist.
Yeah, exactly. Therapist and the lawyers.
Hey.
No, we'll just blame the therapist for now. You're funny as hell. Okay, let's get to the next question. Okay. All right, again. Would you rather have a relationship where the man leads 100% or a 50-50% leading, following?
The man leading, always.
Agreed. I wouldn't say always, though. Like, there are certain areas where I'm a complete idiot, where I need her to lead. Like fashion, for example, I'm an idiot. Right? Nothing I'm wearing, I bought it myself, because she picked this, right? So that's one thing. But other than that, I think one person needs to lead. In some relationship, that's the woman, but many times it's the man, right?
I do want to appreciate Miley for a second for answering that so quickly. Yeah, the man should lead. I was like, thank you.
Yeah. My mom had a saying. She would say, your dad is the head, but I'm the neck. right? I'm pointing him towards a direction to
let's
look
let's
at, but
give
then
some
he's
more
leading it.
concrete examples of, okay, we understand the man leads 100%, but then the woman steps up in things that the man could never do as well as her. um Cliche: cooking, cleaning, but there's a lot more than that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, men and women have different strengths. So
Here's your chance to advocate for why women actually are better than men in certain things. Fashion, would you say? Okay, generally, I think generally, right? Fashion. What
but I
else?
don't know men's fashion. I mean, I know what I like, but I don't know.
So your girl picks men's fashion, right? She's versatile. I'm sure
Yeah.
you could catch on and be versatile too. That's something you bring to your future husband that he's gonna be like, damn, I'm looking way flyer because of her. What else?
It's interesting actually. Her picking clothes for me. I sometimes wonder, like, did she see someone she liked, and then she's now trying to make me look
Yeah.
like him?
Or you're overthinking
Okay,
it.
but does it even fucking matter if she's
It
bringing
doesn't.
value to my life and she's because like I've heard this, I forgot who said it, but like when a woman's able to add status to a man's life, that's
Right.
super attractive for him. He's like, damn, you don't find him like her, she's
Oh, for
bringing
sure.
value to me.
I think, yeah, that's the value that a woman brings. Even just being next to a woman that's presentable adds value to a man. Someone who shows self-respect and can show that she has class. I think that adds value to the man as well.
And knows when to speak and when not to.
Okay, whatever.
No, for real. This is a real thing. For example, I'll make it a little more clear. When the wife of the client is there, she entertains the wife, right? But she stays out of the whatever the gentlemen are talking about. She doesn't kind of meddle in, but she knows where to play her part and her role. If time comes where she's at the table and she's the one professional that's like hashing out the deal, that's a different story. But I mean, like certain times where she knows when to speak and when not to speak, and she's really good at it, and she makes her man look so fucking good.
Yeah, I think that's just, understanding social cues and when to speak. And I think that comes from how you're raised too, right? Your parents, like kids stay at the kids' table, the adults stay over here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was describing. but that's a real life situation, a business, right? Like it happens every day, right? You bring your wives out.
Right. And then they're kind of responsible of holding my status at a certain level, right? Like,
yeah.
Among my peers need to look at me, my woman, and say, all right, if he can keep this woman and she's so respectful to him, now this guy has a lot of value, right? So she kind of places me in the hierarchy in the group, and that's super important. Like what you said, she needs to know when to stop talking, of course, and like kind of put things in hold for now, and when we go home, fuck me up. But you can't tell me that in front of my peers, right?
Yeah, that's
kind of
extremely embarrassing if someone's just airing dirty laundry in front of everyone,
Right.
or gets sloppy and gets super drunk at a business.
I want to get back to the same line of conversation because it's so interesting about like going out and representing your partner, right? At this podcast, I had invited a girl and she had invited her partner, and she did the exact opposite, and she made this dude look so bad. Good looking dude, he seemed like he had a great head on his shoulders, and she made little snarky comments. I don't even think she realized it herself, but it just made him look a lot worse. She made a comment like, oh yeah, I'll backhand you. And I was like, I don't know, it just seems wrong to me. You know what I mean? Like to say it in front of people on the internet, even if you were saying it at home alone, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean backhand me? Like, what's going on here? It's like
just embarrassing.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. You know, like if anything, I'll backhand you. But like, what is this like abusive type of
like
lingo?
Asserting like a power dynamic.
She was asserting dominance, and he was not like a sissy weak guy, big fucking dude. Like it just seemed off to me. So if one little slip of the tongue, if your girl says something stupid, it makes you look bad, or vice versa, you can make her look real bad too. It goes both ways. But that's kind of what we're talking about, right? Like bringing that. I'm sure if she's as intelligent as Miley, she's gonna make us all look good, But you kind of have to have that charm, right? To not the intelligence, the charm, the social cues, all the things. But like then to be intelligent too, like your girl could be a dummy. You can't do anything about that. You know, she doesn't know what to say. She doesn't know the right times to pick on the cues or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yep. And she needs to be aware, like if you corner me like that and you're pounding me, like imagine a dog that's being cornered, right? Like could be a good dog. You love the dog, right? You're spending good time with it, but if you corner it and you scare it a little bit, it's gonna bite you. So like
You
a
mean
couple times you tell me you're gonna backhand me, and you might find that I actually backhand you after all, right?
Oh my God.
You need to know exactly, because that's how it is, right? I mean, you corner a guy, you're going down a really
that
dangerous
was just
path.
an example, Serkan. It was a metaphor. You didn't mean it literally.
I've never done anything like that, but as an example, right? Like if you keep pushing a guy to that corner, somehow he's going to try to get out of there. It might not be violent, but you might hear something you don't want to hear from him, right?
Okay, we got your point. We got your point.
That's how it is.
What I meant is just that, like,
Am I being canceled after this?
no,
Possibly.
No, you're actually kind of entertaining.
we all have cavemen in us, man. It's in our DNA. If I could, I would be in the days where you just like thump the dude in the head and grab the girl by her hair and drive her to your cave. Like I would do that, but it's different times. So no, but like going back to the girl being intelligent, okay? There's this whole argument in this I guess the red pill space or whatever, that like you want the girl to be like less intelligent so she's more submissive, but that gets kind of boring, right? You want her to be hyper intelligent, right? So she can catch you on your mistakes sometimes, but still have that dominant submissive kind of dynamic.
I don't know. I think there's different types of intelligence. Like she doesn't necessarily have to be like super book smart, but if she has emotional intelligence or she's street smart, she can kind of.
What about the intelligence of just it's not a certain niche, right? But when you guys hang out, you have the same sense of humor. You guys kind of grow up on the same social trends and pop culture, so you get references. Like, what's that intelligence called? Like compatibility intelligence?
Yeah, I think that's just compatibility, chemistry. Like you were talking about that couple on the podcast. Maybe that was just their sense of humor. I don't know.
He wasn't smiling.
Oh, he
at
wasn't?
all. He didn't even like crack a little diss. He was just like, you could tell it was embarrassment.
Oh, then yeah.
Okay, so like you're right. There's book smart. There's things that girls are better at, that guys are better at. We're stronger. They're better at multitasking. There's like certain, objective things. But then like it's like the intelligence thing, like, isn't that kind of more attractive for I'm talking about for us as the males, right? Like you hear a lot of guys say like we want the docile, dumb girl, and that's attractive to us. Like, and that is to a certain extent. But then like, would you say that you'd rather have an intelligent girl that you could hold all the conversation with and all that?
Yep, I am like that for sure. And someone cannot be intelligent in every aspect of their life, right? I think what I like about my relationship right now is she has her fortes and I have mine, and we don't kind of cross swords, if you will, right? So she's in business consulting, for example. If I'm talking business consulting, I go to her. Whatever she says is the truth, because I don't know what I don't know. So what you just said kind of.
But do you guys even do you even talk work? When I'm talking about intelligence, I mean, like, she's a bright, sharp girl. Just having one conversation with her about some random shit is kind of like, oh, that was enlightening, versus like, yo, I'm carrying this shit every fucking day, right?
Yeah, that's important to me. I mean, the conversation needs to be really fun. And actually, I think in my mind, women needs to carry a conversation, right? Because
you're supposed to be the better conversationalist.
Because they say like women use 25,000 words and men only use 7,000 words a day.
Not just that, she's given approached 1,000 times, right?
Right.
We're like cavemen, like we're like robots. Like she's got a lot of social interaction ever since she was 10 years old.
But that's the thing. If she's getting approached all the time, then you're the one that needs to stand out, show us hey, I have this to offer to you.
Okay.
You got to differentiate yourself. Yeah.
Maybe later on in the relationship, okay, like we'll bring up interesting topics, whatever. If you're the leader and you're giving us the free time to find interesting and new things to talk about,
But you know, then again, everyone has interesting to themselves, right? She could think interesting is this, right? And it could be not interesting to me. But then going back to like the type of intelligence is like that emotional quotient, I guess. Like you know what he would find funny, so you talk about those lines of topics when you're around him, and like you save all the drama shit for your girlfriends.
oh yeah.
So okay, let's get to another question because that went off in a super tangent. I don't even know where it started with. It started with the 50-50 or 100% leadership question. Okay. What is moving too fast? How soon is too soon to get engaged? Da-da-da.
Tough question.
How quickly did you get engaged?
We dated about 3 years.
Oh,
so
wow.
so really why we got engaged was more of a necessity at that time. We were moving between countries, like from New York to Sweden, and then we came back to California. We kind of needed to settle down and find jobs here and all that stuff. So it kind of presented itself as the best next option. And it was logical, super logical. But I get the question stuff because I always say you can never be sure of being sure, but you can be sure of being not sure. Does that make sense? I mean,
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you're definitely not the person I would ever fucking marry.
right. You can say that, but like you're dating someone, you love her now. Like, why are you not marrying this girl? I'm not sure exactly why and when is gonna be the right time to do it.
Yeah, just ask Mexicans. They have like 20 kids and don't even think twice about it.
Well, does your status in life kind of have an influence on that when you're married? Because I've heard that, guys, it doesn't really matter who, it just matters when.
Ooh, damn, Miley. Okay.
Yeah, you might be right. I mean, you need to get all that off your system before you get married, right? So if you're not there and you have all of that in your system, probably you can't even take the next step. But good point. Good point.
Yeah, but I recently watched the movie Apocalypto, and they have a different way of living. I don't know if you know the movie's
No.
context is like Mayans and whatever. And those motherfuckers were teenagers and they needed to be ready,
Right.
So it's like,
Oh, I remember
right-
that movie. That was a really good movie.
yeah, it was a crazy good movie. Incredible. Probably best movie I've ever seen.
Really?
Top movie, yeah. And then but like they had a different mentality, right? So it's like it was just about the right person, not the right time, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Serkan's
But like,
need to
I
watch
mean,
that shit later.
I'll watch the movie.
But
now.
isn't it like, okay, if a guy
Definitely gonna love
isn't
it.
far enough in his career, he's not going to get married anytime soon. If he doesn't feel like stable, that he can support a family. Usually they're not ready for marriage yet. And he could be with a girl for like 10 years in his 20s, and then they end, and then he meets someone when he's like 40 and he's really, established. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to get married now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how often do you see the 25-year-old guy who actually is not ready, but he does settle down, has 2 kids, and then you see the 48-year-old guy, but you didn't have 2 kids. And they see the 48-year-old guy, and he waited till he was ready, and he has a huge house, but he has no kids, and now
Yeah.
it's like I could, but I'm 48 now. I'm not 25. So, the timing thing. So the question, I guess I started with what's moving too fast? How soon is too soon to get engaged, right? And then we pivoted, but like that whole how soon is too soon? I know how soon is too soon for women. Y'all got a clock that's ticking, right? So it's counting down like objectively in numbers and time. For men, us too, but we feel like we have way longer.
Yeah.
But is it really true that we have way longer? I think 10 years. We got a buffer on y'all by 10 years, right?
Well, they say that birth defects in children actually come from the men. And
Yes,
the problem
that's
with
right.
women is that the older they get, the harder it is for them to carry the baby to term. But when a baby is born, the defects come from the man.
So what's prime? 35?
I think in your 30s, yeah.
The way I think of this is how old am I going to be when the kid's 18? Right. That's how I approach it. Because if I had a kid when I was 22,
Not if he's missing a thumb or a left
Right.
arm or something.
That's another story. I imagine we got a good one, let's say. But yeah, like if I had a kid when I was 22, now he would be 14, right? And now most of the job is already done. But today, when I think of having kids tomorrow, it's like I'm going to be 55 by the time this kid's out of the house and I can fucking enjoy life again.
What? That's a terrible way to think of it. That's the worst way to think of it. Like,
Well,
no,
it's
I
also
totally
practical,
disagree.
though.
No,
Yeah, I don't think you realize how tiring kids are.
No, but
They are.
that's how you think. No, I'm sorry. I can't fathom that.
Do you have friends with kids?
Yeah, but at the same time, okay, so no, okay. So all right. So that's how you think. You're like,
Oh, you want to be a dad.
I'll neglect my kids before I start thinking about them being a burden on my lifestyle, you know, like
So you just want to have a kid so you can ignore him. Okay.
shit. You know, the Spartans, they didn't even like touch the kid until they turned 7 years old. And then when they were, you know, past the test and they'll, you know, take them in the trial. But if not, they'd kick them in the ditch. So I might just have to kick the little one in the ditch. I don't know.
Super old fashioned.
Yeah. Way back. Okay, so how soon is too soon to get engaged? Nobody answered that question.
I think there's only one thing in my mind that's from a time frame point of view, 1 year. You need to go through 12 months.
Yeah.
And see different seasons, like if she's depressed during winter time, how's she having fun in the summertime? I think that's it. Like
Gives
after
you
1
enough
year
time to see all the different social interactions she's in, all her hobbies, everything she's into.
That's right. And then, I mean, I'm not saying just date for a year and get married. That's not what I'm saying, but at least date for a year.
Then you won't hold it
And
against the
then we'll
motherfucker.
talk.
You'll be like, all right, you gave it a year. I think that's super fair. I think a year is enough time. I wouldn't say it's the ideal time. Some people would say longer. You know, they need that 3-year trial period.
So then what about people who get engaged, but then they stay engaged for like 2 years?
Oh, yeah.
That's also a different strategy. Just what my best friend he was engaged, and as soon as he got engaged, the relationship completely changed, right? And he even told me like, okay, now this is real. And now he was starting to identify what's wrong with her.
Oh.
And she's starting to identify what's wrong with him. And now they broke up,
So
right?
the mask starts coming off.
So yeah, I think a little bit of engagement time is important for you to go through that evaluation. So at least 6 months of engagement is good.
Okay. I'm assuming engaged means like we're getting married in like a few months after, right? Like 6 months, a year at the most. That was what I was assuming. But I understand some people don't take engagement as serious. Like I remember dating a girl. She's like, "We should just get engaged to be engaged." I was like, "What?" I thought engagement, you're getting married. So the people who have the long engagements, I fucking don't understand it at all. I thought that was like the point is to give her the ring so we can get married in a few months after that.
Well, a lot of people get engaged and then they start saving for the marriage. So that's why it takes a while.
Yeah, the whole my
That's right.
fiance 3 years later is kind of weird to me. your fiance 3 years. Okay. Okay, so how soon is too soon to get engaged again, you guys? 12 months is 11 months and 29 days is too soon.
It is too soon.
And 12 months is just fine.
Okay, so then how soon or how long does it take for a guy to know?
Oh, that's a good question. You have such good questions. I love it. Not immediately, but within the first hour conversation, you could identify a ton, but not everything. And then within the first date, 2, 3, for sure, you know.
Yeah.
Second date. Yeah.
Wait, second date?
Third date, second date, something like that.
I
you
agree
know.
with first hour.
First hour, you know like 90%.
90%. And you know if it's not gonna work, you know for sure.
That's why
In
I
the
think it's
first
so
hour.
important to have
Then
a
you convince yourself after that, like, am I gonna be able to put this effort in and get married to this girl? That takes maybe 2 years, right? But the first hour, you know, you want to get on that road.
Going
I
back
think.
to the first question of like red flags you've avoided in the past or whatever, one thing I know, if I like somebody, I'll try to have an hour phone conversation with them to avoid all the texting back and forth later, 2-3 weeks of it worth. Just after like the second day, try to get a phone conversation with her. And then, yeah, that's my philosophy is, you know, 90%. And then what happens after the second, third day? It solidifies for you?
Yeah, I mean, second, third date probably is when you have sex, right? That's when you actually know. So the first hour, you know this person's right, and then you have good sex. You're like, I gotta take this woman
Okay,
home.
but are you saying it takes sex to know?
Sex is a must-have. I told you this before.
Do you think it takes sex to know?
I mean, you don't want to have a marriage with bad sex.
But do you
That's
think?
right.
But do you think it takes sex to know?
Yeah, I think that's a big factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without sex, we're just good friends, right? I have good friends, and that's okay. We can be friends.
I don't think the sex even. It's not the act of the sex. I think that even matters for me. I think it's the desiring to have sex as often as each other that matters for me. Like if I'm way more into it, and if she wants to go 10 times a day and I can't, then you like that. I think that's the disconnect. But like the act of, I'll teach you everything, you teach me everything, we'll be dandy, you know, like, but it's not the good sex for me. I know what you guys are saying, but I see it differently. I think it's like, am I getting mines off when I need to? And are you? And then we'll be groovy, I think. But what are you guys are saying it's different. It's the act of sex, like the compatibility of the sex and all that.
I mean, the act of sex is why.
But you get what I'm saying too, right?
Person, right? You're saying, yeah, leading to the sex. I mean, actually desiring one another is what's keeping you. But then that desire comes from good sex, in my case at least. If I'm having bad sex, I'm not gonna be chasing you down 3 times a day. But if I'm having good sex, I'm all over you 5 times a day. So and now the relationship changes a little bit.
I mean, I've gone on dates and I've gotten along with a guy great. Like, I think he's really funny, he's good looking, whatever. And then the sex is just bad. And then I just lose interest.
What's bad sex? Gotta ask that. For women, what's bad sex?
Just the way she described it right now, I just want to comment on is like the dude knew how to intellectually stimulate her, but then there was another level of like her getting aroused and he couldn't touch that button.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess the
is
lack
it
of,
like he smelled bad, or is it like he didn't know what he's doing?
He didn't take initiative when he should have.
Yeah. I mean, all of those things are factors. There's some people you meet and you just like intuitively, you know what the other person likes and what to do. That's like amazing. Then there's other ones where it's just off and they don't get it. You're not getting it. Like it's just not working.
He's stepping 2 when you're stepping 1. And then it's like, okay. So what was the question again? Too soon to get engaged? Or are we on a different one yet? Okay, so we hit on this. What was the last line of conversation? The whole, if it's good sex, then that also seals the deal.
That's
after the third date or whatever, you know. So it doesn't take 12 months. It only takes 3 dates. But then it takes 12 months to hash out all the other shit in between. That milestone of like, okay, we have great, compatible, good sex. We get along. To, I can stand all your quirks and I can stand all your fucking other shit, and you can stand on mine too, right? So that's what the 11 months is for, right?
That's right. That's right. And I think that time is mostly for men, to be honest. Man to convince himself first, and then her to see the shitty side of me, which I do have that side, obviously. Like, see me, do something dirty at home, like spill something and don't clean it up. Like, see me do all those shitty things that I do. And now, if she's still into me, all right, now that's convincing me even further.
What about, but why are you such a bad guy? What about her? Like, right? There's all the shit that you got to deal with her too.
Yeah, she.
Or no, she's the angel and you're just the terrible one.
Don't talk bad about my princess.
He's like,
No,
I'll kill you.
Well, I appreciate that. Like, if I had an ex and he was still talking, like trying to defend me, defend the marriage, defend the honor.
No, he's talking about his current right now.
I'm talking about my current
Oh,
girl.
well.
Yeah.
Women in general.
Okay, so I think we kind of killed it. So let's get to the next question.
Yeah.
Would you die for your lover? Literally.
I think this is a really bad question. No one would die for anything.
Don't just say don't talk bad about my baby. Oh, you're not about to you're not about to die for her now?
I mean, situation-wise, maybe, I don't know. I might find myself dying for her. Like, someone's attacking us, I get in between and I die. Like, I can see that happening.
Would you donate an organ? Like a kidney?
It's so tough. These things are so tough for me. I mean, yes, I'm not a selfish person.
I actually say no to that, but I would probably take the bullet for you, though. Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
Take a bullet?
But I wouldn't donate none of my shit to you. No, sorry. It's faulty. Keep your own. I keep mine.
I don't know. What do you think? Would you die for him?
I'll be a billionaire so I can buy you one, but the bullet, you can't buy that necessarily.
I guess it depends. Like, if I have to jump in front of him to save his life, I think that's kind of weird. Like, he should be jumping in front to save my life.
Oh, interesting. Why?
Like, from a movie kind of perspective, she does make a point. You know, it looks kind of more feminine the other way around. But what about if we're gonna make it less dramatic so that you can make an easier decision on dying or not? Like, it's like giving up a seat on an airplane and some shit. I don't know. No, that's not a good one. Help me out, Serkan. A scenario that she could take a L for you, where it's not such a pussy move.
I don't know. Maybe a couple girls are beating me up, and then I can't hit them because they're female. So my girl needs to fight that fight, right? No, and then you die. You die fighting that fight.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. That's not. That's too easy. It's way too easy. It's like all right,
that situation doesn't exist.
We will get I am gonna text you later.
My man can defend himself at all times.
You know what? We'll just stick with that. I like that. It just rolls off the tongue better. There will be no situation that I will ever need you to take the L for me. Your life is the priority over mine. Let's just get that clear. Okay. We need to get back to this question though. Like, if there was a situation that we can think of. All right. Is white lies okay to protect feelings?
Yes. That's a firm yes. I think
Miley, wait. Don't say anything, Serkan. Yeah. Okay, what's your first reaction to that question?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, just make sure that they don't find out about it later. Like, when I find out
the evidence.
Well, when I find out that a guy's lying about something like small and stupid, it's like, well, okay, what else are you lying about? I don't know.
It makes sense. Like, you couldn't even hide one little lie from me, you incompetent motherfucker. Right? You fucking dumbass. Like, how dumb do you get? Right? That's what I would think. If my girl lied to me and then I caught her in her lie, I'd be like, I might not even say anything to her. I just might be laughing on the inside like, you retard. Okay, so yes, 100%. And yeah, I think your shit is like drooping. Your yeah, I don't think it's you. It's the that one's broken, I think. Oh. But okay, so white lies. Yes, 100%. What about what she said though? Are you a smooth criminal?
I mean, if you're lying about something small and unimportant, you should be able to carry that lie somehow, or you're a retard, right? You're right about that. But I think, like, even for me,
that's not how I think though. I think that this is so unimportant to me that either I don't fucking need to lie about it, or if I did lie about it, I don't fucking give a fuck. You better not ask me another question about it. You know, this is so unimportant. I won't ever lie to you on the important shit. So don't ever fucking think to question me. But if it's on some dumb shit that nobody cares about, doesn't matter, would never surface the light of day, like, I might just be like, to spare you the inconvenience of having to worry about it.
Right. And I think it's different for men and women as well. Like, we usually lie about like sexual stuff, right? Like, you check some girl out, for example, right? And then what are you looking at? No, nothing, right? Like that kind of lie is what
yeah.
we do. Because yes, I was looking at her ass, and yes, if I had the chance, I'd love to have sex with her.
Oh my God.
But I don't have to be that honest with you, right? I need to lie at that point
It's
and
not
say,
even like
no, I'm not looking,
it's
because
like
it's not important.
It's like a knee-jerk reaction,
Yeah,
you know? Did you cheat on me? Of
exactly.
course I didn't. Of course not. Why would you think so?
That's not a white lie.
Okay, it went from like just seeing a fat ass to more. But if you're looking at her ass, I'm pretty sure that you would get a blowjob by her.
You're pretty sure?
What do you think, Miley? If he's looking at the ass, does that mean
I
that
don't-
it's just a creature of habit?
Yeah.
You'll let it slide.
I mean,
It's not
if
a
he
big
takes
deal.
it another step and like talks to her, that's a different thing. But licking, who cares? I mean, I look at people too.
You guys are both going to hell, and
Yeah.
your relationships are gonna fail. And you're gonna watch this episode and be like, "Omid was right."
We're not going to put this on Instagram, right?
No, I don't have to if you don't want me to. Okay, you guys, serious question.
Yeah.
Serious. What is love?
That's not a serious question, is it?
I mean, yeah, it is. What's love? Like, if you were to break it down into 3 things, what would love actually mean?
Well, okay. There's also different types of love.
I'm talking
so-
about romantic male-female love.
Okay.
I think overall, at the end of the day, it's an obsession, right? It's just a chemical reaction in your brain that is unstoppable. And then you're doing stupid shit because you're obsessed with her. That's what love is, really. Like, looking at love from outside, it looks very disgusting to me. Like I it's almost like seeing someone super religious that, you know,
Yeah.
they're not even
Can I
thinking
pray for
about
you?
the
And then you're
reality.
like, no, let me
Oh
know.
my God.
Yeah, they look very stupid looking at it from outside. But if I'm part of that religion as well, now it's something important to me. I worship it. I cherish it every day, right? Kind of like
it
that.
makes sense to
Oh.
you.
Yeah, it makes sense
That's-
to you when you're in it. But you're looking at it from outside, it looks like 2 idiots just losing control of their lives.
Right, so you're
pretty
just
much what
saying
is.
you're just saying it's like a biological chemical reaction to
Yeah.
the opposite sex. That was just one thing, but you summed it up fine. All right.
Yeah,
Maya.
I mean, I like that.
No, I
description.
don't like it. I'm gonna totally disagree.
I like
and you're over
it.
here agreeing
It's
with
like-
him.
It's like a little like inside thing that
You're a
only you two
positive magnet.
understand.
I'm a negative magnet. I can't help but be attracted to you.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah. And then, no one else understands it really. You can't understand it unless you're in it. What you like about the other person, what they like about you, your connection.
Okay. There's
I
that.
didn't like that.
There's that school of thought, but then there's the other school of thought that like love is like something you sacrifice too. If it means a lot to you at your own detriment, even, you will protect it. You will want its best well-being. So
That's exactly why it's so stupid, right? I mean, you look at someone actually prioritizing someone else's life. Just like you asked, like, would you die for her? Why would I fucking do that? That's so stupid. I shouldn't be dying for anything really, except for saving my own life. Because
All right,
that's the
but
biological reality of the situation.
let's say you lived in different times, right? Where your land was at siege and you are the front line, right? Then essentially you were dying to protect your loved ones.
Right, and myself first. Right? Trying not to die myself first.
True,
and then-
true,
that-
true.
Okay, so what if
I do
someone
like
like,
that answer.
broke into your house?
Right.
Would
Same
you?
school of thought. Myself is
Yeah.
first, and then I'll protect them because they're an extension of me.
And the reality is my girlfriend weighs like 80 pounds, right? Like, she's useless in a fight like that. So that's my job to go fight that fight to save my life first and then hers as well.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't send my worst player out there in a basketball game. Right? She is the worst player. She's 80 pounds. She's not going to hurt anyone.
Makes so
Right?
much sense.
So it's my job. I
Send
gotta
the
do
best
it.
man for the job, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Damn, Serkan, you got me. So you're doing it, but not out of some chivalrous honor. You're like, yo, man, I got to stay alive.
Yeah,
And-
you're not thinking about her. You're thinking about yourself.
And the only reason I'm
But-
protecting her is she got to nurse me later with my wounds
I
and
do
shit.
I do like that because you know you do have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others.
anyone else.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and the idea that by taking care of yourself it benefits everyone. I think that also is pretty.
What's that saying? More for the goose. What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
There you go. I think that's the honest
You're the
answer.
goose, motherfucker. I'm just kidding. Wait, it's the opposite?
No, I think it's the honest answer. I
Oh,
mean,
honest answer.
I'm actually not gonna die for you. I'm just trying to save myself. That's the reality of the situation.
So, okay, that goes back to love then. So, love, you're saying it is more so of a chemical reaction that I'm serving to get my nut off and my, not just nut, but like my desires in life off, right?
Yeah,
Like
your long-term nut. That's what
Yeah.
you're
Oh my
after. Like
Or-
consistent 30-year, you
yeah,
know,
30 years of nuts back to back.
back to back. Yes.
No, but so to fulfill that need, right? Not to, and the only reason you're building community is because that's what's best for the gander or for the goose. I mean,
So I'm the goose, right?
yeah, the goose. You're one special goose that lays golden eggs.
But
okay,
it is an anomaly, right? Like people actually get married and they have kids without having to fall in love. Like that's not the only way of reproducing. We don't just do it to reproduce or just to have
what are you
sex.
talking
It's
about? We're
just a
living in
stupidity.
tubes, like the one book.
What is it?
You said we don't procreate. Never mind.
Well, you don't have to be in love to procreate,
Yeah,
right?
we-
Like,
yeah.
just go have some sex and have kids. Good for you.
I don't agree with that either.
So you think you have to be in love to have kids?
No. I do sort of agree. I do want like 20 kids, so it's not like I could be a hypocrite. So
So if you want 20 kids, you
Yeah, I
need more than
can't-
one wife. Then.
yeah, I can't love.
I see.
right.
See.
I can't be subscribing to that philosophy of love that all these other regular humans are. Okay, let's see. Ooh, I feel like you guys are qualified to answer this. I actually got this question from a date with a girl, and she gave me the dumbest fucking answer, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna write it down at least so I can ask you guys. To you, what is a woman of value, and what is a man of value? Tough, I know. That's why she couldn't answer it either.
Huh.
And I think a girl answering it would see it through a different lens than a man answering it for a girl, right? Like they're seeing different things that they think are important, but really the man is not valuing what they think, and the woman's not valuing what they think.
Yeah.
So you're looking for an answer for both, like, or do you want me to say
Like
what
the
I
the-
find is a man of value?
What your actions show to be true, not what you say to what you think to be true.
I don't get
Like a lot of girls, they'll say they value X, but they actually value Y. You know, like
yeah.
they
So you're
say-
asking me about what I see as a high value man.
Yeah, and money is not the end all be all. We know that, but it's a huge factor. So just having said that, right? Like the I think a man of value is a man that's resourceful.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
I think a woman of value is a woman who is youthful
Oh my God.
and willing to procreate.
Okay. I can summarize it
Please
in
take
one
the mic,
word,
yes,
really.
'cause
So
I
yeah,
just-
you were about to fuck it up. Yeah. So I think man of value for most women, at least, I feel like it's security, right? You provide security.
That's
both
what I said.
Physical and fiscal security. And women is nurture, right? Like all of those things that I'm not able to do. Like I am analytic, for example, and I'm very straightforward, as you can tell. Like I keep saying shit I shouldn't be saying, but
I didn't even notice, man. I'm 10 times worse than you.
You're on my camp as well, yeah. But She needs to bring that emotional intelligence, which I lack completely.
Okay,
But
hold
I'm an
on though.
idiot when it comes to that.
You said, just to summarize what you said, for men you said a man who is, you said what I said.
Security. Yeah.
You said what I said pretty much.
Mhm.
And then for a woman you said a nurturer, right?
Yeah.
Did he not?
Yeah.
I did. Unfortunately.
Fuck
My
does that
test
even
was-
mean? What's she gonna nurture?
She needs to nurture things.
Children.
Like, yeah, that is true, but it's not limited to it, right? Even if I don't want the
Can
children.
nurture my dick. No, I'm just kidding. No, she can nurture me when I'm in sickness and health. But then again, we don't really need a woman, right? You done gotten through 34 years going through the flu and coronavirus.
No one needs anyone, but
I do need you for one thing though, to pop out a fucking son for me with your tall ass.
That actually,
And put him in, and put him in basketball.
For that?
Okay, how do you feel about that? Okay, she's beautiful, she's tall, right? Not her, but just assuming a girl, you want to get a girl pregnant, have a son, put him in basketball because you fucking love basketball, right? And pass on your genetics, right?
right.
How do you feel about the surrogate thing though?
If it comes to that, of course, it makes life a lot easier. Like if you could pick a genetic sample of a person to procreate with, that would make life so much easier. Like I would just go pick a 6'4", like someone as tall as me, and then the kids will be in NBA in 18 years. I'm now making $14 million a year.
All right, we heard enough. We heard enough. Miley, how do you feel about what he just said?
I don't know. I mean, it's up to.
He's playing
everyone.
God, but I mean, ain't nothing wrong with it if you don't see nothing wrong with it.
We
Yeah.
do that anyway, right? Like we pick the person that would give us the best kids, basically, right?
No, that's
where
so
that-
different.
We do. Like internally, you don't even think
Yeah,
about
you're not
it, but
attracted
you're
to
doing
someone that
exactly
you-
But it's that's organic. That's not.
right.
That's still fair. We're playing within the rule book still.
Yeah, but if I'm doing something instinctively, why shouldn't I make it better with science, right? We do that all the time with everything else. Like so.
Okay, let's take a step further. Are you gonna drill your head and put that little chip in it so you can have superhuman powers?
Possibly.
Now we're going into like Brave New World.
That's
like,
the book. Why didn't you say that shit when I said that one book with the test tube babies and shit? Brave New World. Okay. All right. Yeah, she's right. Now we're getting into some other shit, right? So, but you brought it up just so we know, so we're clear. Surrogates. So, it's a fact of life now, though. Women are getting older and they're using that as a go-to, right? It's not so much the men that are advocating for that.
Yeah.
But you're saying that if I could pick all the best stats in my kid, why not?
Why not? That's exactly what I'm saying. And especially if I'm a woman, that's exactly what I'm doing. If I was a woman, I would never marry a guy. Guys are shitty and useless, honestly speaking. They're only good for that X chromosome that you need to make.
And
a
only
baby.
the 1.1% of the guy, too, right?
Yeah, I
think
mean,
why-
Hyper intelligence, height, and whatever the fuck else is considered. Oh, a high value man. We just answered it right there.
yeah. That guy should be the father of all kids that are being born.
For everyone. Just one.
All gonna look the same and be inbreds, bro.
You can't do it the other way though. Like you can't pick one woman to give birth to all kids, but you can have one man to actually be the father of all kids ever.
Okay, Genghis Khan.
And I nominate myself, by the way.
Wow.
I was gonna nominate myself. Okay, all right. That was a good string of thought. Why do people ghost?
Because they're cowards.
Ooh, I think you're
That
right.
might be right. Yeah. I don't think I've ever done it. How does it feel? Have you done it?
I've done it.
Yeah. Why?
Um,
Is she being super annoying and stuff? Like you didn't even want to tell her why you don't like her?
No, because she pulled a red flag, so it was just over at that point, right? Like she did something to show a lack of importance of me. She took me for granted. So it's just like, but like, I don't think I've ever ghosted somebody that was in love with me. And that's the way it usually goes, right?
Yeah.
You ghost somebody that has the attraction towards you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever like ghosted someone like just out of the blue, but I've told them, they're like, no, we can work it out. And they keep trying and keep trying. And then after a while, I'm just like, okay, I'm just not going to engage anymore.
So broken record.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's fair. So if someone disses you, like in my case, like there's probably still equal attraction, but too early of a red flag, ghosting you because it's just easier. You is a broken record. I've told you this several times. Like we can't keep talking about it. And then maybe another example of why people ghost.
I have no clue. I don't want to have sex with you is the best reason, I think.
I only wanted to have sex with you, but you wanted like some meaningful friendship type shit.
That's
So
a good one too.
I didn't have the balls to fucking tell you that.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Pros and cons of meeting people online versus in person.
I think online you miss out on a chance to really get to know people. Like that's just what they put on display and get judged by. But I think there are some people that you meet in person. They're really cool people. But on paper, like I probably would have never been attracted to them, you know? So I think, I don't know, it's easier to get your foot in the door if you meet in person and be more open-minded.
I agree. And I think it makes, especially online dating makes it so confusing. Like, not to be crass, but you're like looking at nice tits, nicer tits, nicer tits, nicer tits.
Oh
you know, you're like, I don't know which one, man. So like, you don't pay attention to any of them, even though you would probably like
what you're
all
saying
of them.
though is that there's always something better. So you're always
You feel like that fear of missing out, right? FOMO constantly happening. Versus if you meet someone, you're engaged in a conversation at a bar, for example. All right, this is the girl I'm going after. For sure.
Like, why is it so hard to leave someone that you've been with for 3 years versus someone that you just swiped on, right? It's like that person that you're with for 3 years, that person's not perfect. They're not the nicer tit, right? But there's like that bond that you develop with them. So like when you meet someone in person, you give it that chance to have that connection. But when you meet just off of a resume basis, you're just looking for the best candidate. So I guess to say online, you're looking for the best, and in person, you're just what's in front of you.
But then also, I feel like online, you're just, a lot of times you're just, okay, this will do. And you're actually, trying to talk to multiple people at once. Yep. Whereas I feel like in person, you can only talk to one person at a time.
Exactly.
So
you're more engaged for sure.
Yeah.
And the other thing is online, you always know they're lying about at least one thing on that profile, right? There's one thing that's not accurate. You just don't know. Maybe they're overweight.
Really?
Right?
That's how you look at it?
Yeah, for sure. When I look at a profile, I know she's lying about at least one thing, right? And then it's fun to figure it out as well. But then you're like, how many red flags are going to pop out of this profile?
Like it says, occasional with the alcohol drink, and it's like, she's not alcoholic.
Yes, exactly. And we all do it, right?
I said I've 7'4" before, Fuck it.
That's a stretch, but yeah.
They knew I was lying, whatever. Bad boy.
Oh, man.
Okay, so online, but there's pros of online too.
There's pros of online. Convenient, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
That's not what I was going to say.
What's the pro?
That like some people, you don't know what their intentions are. If I'm going to go in the next 5 years with the intention of being a married man, and I go and talk to 100 girls in person, correct, I will have a better conversation and bond and connection with them in person versus online. But online, there's 100 girls that are desperately looking to get married.
No.
And they're all saying they're not.
I'm not saying they're all 100, but you can pinpoint, right? And then narrow it down to like, all these girls want to get married.
Do you think online girls that are online dating are desperate?
It depends what guy you are. I've been in like both sides where I didn't get no matches, and I've been on the side where I got 100 matches, and these girls were desperately trying to get married. Especially if you go like Middle Eastern filter, like it's a little bit easier. Usually.
Wow.
No, but I think everyone's online. Not only the desperate girls. Desperate girls are there too, for sure. But everyone is there, right? And so it kind of makes it.
But when I say desperate, I don't mean desperate. I just mean desperately looking to get away from the dating game and fall into a marriage situation.
Yeah.
Right? It's like I came across that. So I'm like, that's kind of a pro. At least I'm getting these girls who are not trying to fuck around and waste my time. You know, like I know what their intentions are.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you're looking for too. There's a lot of guys out there that are not trying to get married.
And that's where because I wasn't looking for that at that time. But so
you still got what you wanted.
Yeah, I did. But I did lie a lot too.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody does.
White
because
lie?
everyone assumes that everyone's lying.
Not white lie. Yeah, so you're right. People online, they can lie a lot easier. But I mean, you can lie in person too. So okay, pros and cons of dating in person and online. Sum it up, you guys.
Maybe I'm too old. That might be the reason, but online I think is not viable, really. It's in the long term. But it's the convenience factor. No one has the time to go out to a bar every day and try to meet girls and stuff, except for you, Omid. But
trust me, bro, I'm trying to be a billionaire. Not me either.
So,
but at the gym, shit, we're already there. So
yes, the entire gym's talking about you, man. But
what gym is this?
I'm famous among Irvine in general. Don't even trip. I'm gonna be the first billionaire podcaster in Irvine. So
there you go.
Okay, so just convenience online. You can meet a lot more potentials.
Yeah, if you think it's just a numbers game, then online for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which at the end of the day, it is just a numbers game, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but I was trying to be a little more tactful about it. So at the end of the day, if I'm trying to get married, but I'm fishing in a pool of like non-marriage material, I'm wasting my time, right? So I'm not saying online is better, but if it was better, I would try to attack that resource. Based on my experience, if it's better or not better, just that one thing, I get back to it every time. I'm noticing a trend within my own life is like, I'll meet girls in person, like yourself, Miley, and then like I'll be like potentially serious about them, but then they're not reciprocating the same exact feeling I have. Or then other situations, like they're trying to be way more into me than I am into them. But then online, it's like you kind of are able to filter out who you're most into and who is also most into you, play the numbers game, and then be like, okay, yeah, I don't know. It's just it's more opportunity to filter out what you apparently think is best. But best, I think, is like having that connection, like a mutual connection with mutual.
I don't know. I feel like you can filter out different things. Online, you can filter out by whatever the settings you put, right? But in person, you can also filter out just your vibe, like how you guys get along with each other. And I don't know which one you find is more important, but
that's way more important. Definitely. Yeah, I guess you're right.
So at the end of the day, the way how you met doesn't really matter, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Connection matters, right? So either online or in person, you still want to get to that same exact end zone.
The end goal is both people want the same things. Both people have similar chemistry, right? And so I guess it doesn't matter if it's online or not online. You could still have both, right? Okay, this question is way too fucking hard because at first we were acting like we knew the answer, and now it's just like, fuck. I have no idea.
There is no answer.
Because I'd rather meet people in person, but then there's just way more chances to meet people online too. So why close that door? And it's fucking getting hot in here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. We only have probably like, I might as well just fucking open the window real quick and get some air because we still have like another 20 minutes.
How long have you been with your girlfriend?
It's almost a year. Next week is a year, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're going to Cabo for that. Should be
Oh,
fun.
how fun.
Yeah.
Have you been to Cabo before?
I did, but only in one of those.
Are you guys staying at a resort?
Yeah, we're gonna stay at a resort, but not a all inclusive this time. Last time I did all inclusive, never left the hotel. So now I'm like, I gotta see this place a little
Oh.
more. So it should be fun. How about you? Do you have a relationship?
No.
No.
I proposed to her and she broke my heart. So
I see.
searching for something better. Okay, we kind of killed that other question, right? So, okay, you were asking me about the in-law stuff. Are you getting cold now?
A little bit.
A little bit. I should.
Is there a fan?
Yeah, there is.
Oh.
Maybe I could just leave the window open and turn the fan off. So remember I was like the in-laws and the title and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How much does your partner's parents influence your decision to tie the knot with them?
That's a good question. It's a very good question.
And I have like 3 more kind of similar about in-laws.
I think it's important that the in-laws are not included in the relationship at all. They're just
at all?
at all. I'm not dating your mom.
Okay, well I can
I don't want to date your mom at all.
I can take question 14 off the list. So would you ever cut your in-laws off totally, completely?
Yeah. if needed. I mean, I haven't done it before, but if needed, yes. They're not in this relationship.
And how is your woman's frame or position in that decision making? Like, I'm gonna cut your parents off, and like, what's her say in that?
Again, nothing.
No, say that's
parents,
what I'm talking about.
Parents don't matter. Let's go. Once you're born, your parents don't matter. That's the reality of life. But that's a biological reality, right? Like, especially when you're like 18,
Once
you have
you're
a college
born?
degree.
They're the ones
now-
taking care of you.
In the modern world, yes, but like dog is I'm so canceled, man.
No, I.
Where are your parents? Let me talk to them.
No. Let me be his representative right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Save me.
What he's saying is that, like, in living in a man's world, right? We got to be providers and protectors, and like we're focused on protecting our family initially. That our primary concern is our family, right?
Yes.
So we're doing whatever it is to protect this relationship and the kids in the relationship too. If protecting this relationship means cutting off outsiders, whether it be your parents or whoever else, my parents,
You'll cut off your own parents?
if they will jeopardize the well-being of the kids and the way that they're being raised and what I see best fit for them being raised and being able to have a competitive edge in this world, if I feel like being around the grandmother is going to make them a retard, I know it's a little bit strict and a little bit tough, but I think that's what he's saying. He's saying, all I'm doing is trying to protect the relationship. Cutting off parents is not personal. It's just because I think we'll have a stronger unit if we kept it to ourselves. But then again, I'm not saying I'm going to cut my parents off and I'm going to cut my grandparents. I'm not
You
saying
said it
that
already, man.
I'm saying
it's on video.
I'm saying if we needed to cut off hers, no, I'm just kidding. No. But whoever needs to be cut off, regardless, if they need to be cut off, yeah, I'll be the one to cut the head off.
And cut off doesn't mean like we're not talking at all and I'm like slapping my dad in the face. That's not what I mean, right? It's just not letting them into the relationship.
You want to
as
come
much.
to a Christmas party? No, leave me alone.
Yeah. I mean, you can still kind of have a relationship with them, but keep them a little bit outside of your own
Why are you
relationship.
tiptoeing
That's
around
what I
this
did.
shit now, bro?
No,
You're the one
He's
that's
backpedaling.
Yeah. What happened to cutting them off?
Dad, I'm sorry. It was a joke.
No, I don't want to come to Thanksgiving. Okay, so you said yes, you would, and then you reversed your answer. So what are you actually answering?
No, my actual answer is you can cut them off. Your parents are in your past. Your new relationships in your future, and your kids, right? Like you're married and you have kids. That's your future. Your parents are in your past. So you can't make a future decision with information coming from the past.
This
right?
motherfucker really do have some Viking blood in him or something, huh?
It's
He's
the
like, we have to
reality.
take the
Let's
family
talk real.
and
Wait, do you plan on taking care of your parents when they're older?
Sure.
like
With my money.
like chew the food and put it in their mouth and shit.
Yeah.
With my money, like that's all I can do really. They live like 8,000 miles away anyway. So, but
You're
I'll
so vain. With my money, no, they want your time. They want you to pet them on the face
you
like
can't.
this.
like this. No, of course I'll take care of them, but it doesn't mean like I quit my job and I take care of them full day.
Okay,
right?
let's see.
Let's be real.
Yeah,
man.
let's be real. So, are you putting them in a nursing home, or are you actually letting them live with you?
It depends on how much money I have, how big the house is.
He's like, they have like in-home nurses. We'll get her, a private nurse all 24/7
yeah, good looking Colombian nurses and stuff. Yeah, could
for your
work.
dad. Huh? Okay.
Could work. Yeah, maybe we'll see.
Okay, all right, you guys. Let's not beat this dead horse. But I do have more in-laws questions. So, okay, how soon would you want to meet your in-laws?
Wow, what was that noise?
Yikes.
You go first. Let's let him off the hook.
I don't know. As soon as he feels comfortable. I like meeting parents. I think that's.
Third date.
I mean.
Don't do it.
We had sex. Third date.
Oh, if we've hooked up, then yeah, I'll meet him.
Okay, go back to you now.
Third date. If she tells me she wants me to meet her parents, we break up immediately. Right, it happens right there.
Really? Why?
Not
What
third
does that?
date,
What does that
third
tell
date.
you?
I don't even know her, and now I'm gonna let two other guy, and they're older people. They're gonna judge me like shit. Like they're gonna think that I'm a shitty
But
millennial or whatever.
did you not say yourself after 1 hour of phone conversation and after the third date and had sex that I know if I would probably end up with her long term?
Correct, I did. And that's what I'm saying. I don't want to end up with her mom, right? So why am I meeting her mom?
You don't have to marry or fuck her mom. You just have to shake her hand. There's a difference. You say, hello,
but-
ma'am, shake hand. Okay, then you go in separate ways. Like, but you have to have that meet for the sake of your girl wanting it.
Yeah, I think it's you only meet the parents before you get married to the girl.
Right before?
I mean, maybe 6 months before, whatever you want, right? Before you propose, maybe, or after you get.
Okay, so
You
he's
don't
saying,
ask the father for permission?
I did before, but I don't intend to do it again.
Really?
All right, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, is it a bullshit tradition?
I think it's bullshit because at the end of the day,
How do you
it's
feel, Miley?
disgusting
If
as well.
if I did not want to ask your father, I'm like, fuck that motherfucker. I don't need to ask his permission to take your hand.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, the conversation's so weird. You go to someone's father and you said, "Is
Like,
it
hey, I
okay
want
if
your
I
per-
have sex with
Yeah.
your girl forever?"
No,
It's like,
no,
yeah,
no,
bro, go
that's
do
not-
it.
That's
Like,
not what you're
what?
saying. But what you're saying is, I already made my decision, but just so so we can get
Giving
the
him a
tradi-
heads up.
Yeah.
I did that. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm about to marry your
It's a
daughter. Is that
tradition.
cool with you? No? Oh, shit, and then we got to cut you off.
What if you said that and then the dad's like, okay, well, you need to do this, this, and this. You
I
need to buy
think
a
in the
house
Middle
first.
Eastern culture, you have to give money to the other family. Like you give them like a little treasure chest and shit.
Yeah.
Like a dowry.
Yeah.
In rural Turkey, it's like that as well. Like you're actually buying the girl from her father. It's the most
Yeah.
disgusting thing ever, man.
Women are for sale, literally, in a marriage. But there's probably good reason for
There's
it
good
that doesn't
reason.
apply to today's world.
Doesn't apply because back in the time, if you have a boy, you make him work in the field and you're making money off of him. But the girl, you don't make her work. You just
So you
do
gotta
that and get the money out of her.
Right.
It's really economical when you look at it. Now we think it's disgusting, but it's been the tradition for 10,000 years, right?
Nobody said it was disgusting. I'm still probably gonna give her some kind of dowry in one way or another. Here's your mention dowry.
To her family?
Maybe.
Mr.
Depends on how many
Billionaire.
billions you
Mr.
have.
Billionaire.
Yeah.
Anything's possible on that
Maybe just give him a Ken doll. I don't know. Okay, so in-laws, right? I think we got more. Would you cut off your in-laws and why? Toxic.
Yes, resound. He's saying
toxic in-laws, I would cut them off. I couldn't see myself for no reason cutting off in-laws from being around the grandchildren.
Yeah.
If they were just complete dopes, and I was like, man, my kid's getting so dumb every time I hang around. She hanging around with grandma. That could factor into my decision. Like, I don't. But then again, when the kid is only 1 or 2, they don't fucking know anything any better anyways, right? But when the kid hits the age of reason, like 7 years old, and they're really starting to get influenced by characters in their lives, you got to take a hard look if it's toxic for them, if it's not just toxic, but if it's what's best for their high performance. Like, maybe if the family was supportive in my program, like, yo, Sheila's got tennis lessons with the world-class tennis coach every Tuesday and Thursday, you could give her the fucking rides. But other than that, like, you got to just be supportive. Then I can see that working out perfectly. But do you think there's any boundaries you would set personally if you guys, or just all free for all? Like, anytime grandma and grandpa want to come over, they just shower them with love, and that's totally cool, and that's just what's best for the kid anyways.
I don't know. I feel like family is important, and
so no gates, just free reign.
I think a child's going to be exposed to different people in society anyway. I mean, they're just other people that your children have to socialize with and deal with and learn how to, get along with. I mean, it's not going to be like forever. They're not going to like stay long term with them, but they'll have interactions with them.
Yeah, and the kids don't get influenced by old people, right? I mean, I never heard a kid being influenced by like a grandpa and acting like grandpa, right? If they're super toxic, yes, cut them off. But I don't think you cut them off completely if you have kids. They need to have a grandpa, grandma figure at least. And you manage how long of an engagement they have with your kids. But if they're being super toxic, I mean, it's not that important, as I said. Cut them off.
So, okay.
Family is important, but it's your family that's important. Right now, at that point, that's someone else's family that you're trying to live by their values, and you're letting go of your own values and your family. That's not cool, right? So if it comes to it, cut them off.
Like, if you look at me wrong, cut them off. Okay. No, yeah. Okay, so you're family, pro-family, no restrictions. You're like, look at me wrong, I'm cutting you off, bitch. And I'm saying I kind of agree with Serkan for the only reason being that, like, I want my kids to be in tennis lessons with professionals, and I want them to be in line with that kind of mentality. And if grandma's too dumb to kind of get on board, but grandma's not going to be too dumb. She's going to be more than happy to support that. So I'm making the high level decisions, and yeah, grandma and grandpa get to be in the picture as much as they want, as long as they're with the program.
Grandparents aren't making any decisions. You're the parents. You're the one making the decisions.
Yeah, but they always be hiding candy behind their back and shit,
Yeah, I think that's cute. I don't know. That's fine.
It could be cute until it gets, not. Right? Like,
there's gotta be a limit.
I'm saying there's candy.
Yeah, there's limits. Yeah.
Right. I don't know. Am I right? I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying, like, what do you guys think? What's the limit? What's like, like, grandma and grandpa can't be hanging out with you no more because they're not.
I don't know, they're like sneaking them drugs or something. Okay,
no, not drugs.
Like, candy would be a drug in this case, right? I've never ate candy when I was a kid because they didn't give it to me, and now I don't have a sweet tooth. I don't care if I don't eat chocolate for 4 years. I wouldn't go look out for it, right?
Yeah, but we're not talking about that.
That kind of stuff. Like, if you're giving candy to my kid nonstop, I'm gonna stop you at some point, right? That's
no, but that candy is just a metaphor. It's just a metaphor.
Yeah,
it's more of like, I want my kid to be a world champion.
Well, right? You have certain rules, and if they're not following your rules or going against what you're trying to instill in your children, then that's the issue then. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's just that like the more grandpa and grandpa rubs off on them, the less they're gonna be like a high performance killer. And I just want them to be a
But you don't think your
ruthless
grandma and grandpa can support that?
to the kid to be a ruthless killer, like to be like a professional athlete or I don't know, something super high performance. I don't know. Maybe grandpa is
Well,
cool
your
with taking them.
parents. Can your parent? You think your parents can do that?
If I told my parents, Mom, Dad, your real only job is to be the taxi driver, to take them to whatever practice and this and that, I think they'd be okay with it just to be part of the kid's life. But, you know, I don't think my parents, I don't know. I don't think they'd have a problem with it. Do you think your parents would have a problem if you
but
were
you
like,
don't want them to have a deeper relationship than just taxi driver?
That's a good question. Probably. I don't think so. Maybe. What else?
Do you have any nieces or nephews?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Are you more than just a taxi driver to them?
Yeah, I'm the present buyer. I'm the. No, I mean, she's on a routine, right? And if I do anything to fuck up that routine, right? Like,
you get cut off.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah, I think that's how it should be, right? I think uncles and grandparents, they can have a huge influence on the kid's life and think that shit's okay and slip them the iPad every fucking time instead of do the fuck I told you to do your homework, you know? Like, I don't know. I'm being a little extreme. I know it. And I don't think I would actually be when it got down to the wire, but I think it's an important thing, right? Okay. I think this is the last question on the list. So, what is so bad about love bombing? Can it actually be a positive thing?
Love bombing.
The problem with love bombing is it sets unrealistic expectations
that are not like going to be consistent.
You can't sustain it, yeah.
What if it was sustainable? Then it's not love bombing?
Yeah, no, then that's just the relationship.
If it's sustainable, it's no longer love bombing,
Yeah.
right? Like you're doing that all the time.
Yeah,
so.
that's just how you
but
are.
that doesn't mean that person won't perceive it as being love bombing.
Yeah.
They're not used to getting that kind of love. They'll be like, yo, this is too much. But they think it's love bombing, but it's really not.
Tough one. I think if you're gonna love bomb someone, do it, man.
That's what I think too. Like if you're super obsessed with somebody, then fucking show them.
Yeah, I mean, if you feel like that at that moment, do it. But if you're doing it for 12 hours straight, now you're getting annoying, right? So,
Well, I just meant like the first 5 minutes until they get bored, and then I was like, okay, then she's not into it.
I think that's fine.
Okay, but then that's stalking after that point. If you're doing it for more than like a day, half a day, right? But so love bombing, but everyone has this really negative connotation on love bombing, and there's probably a million reasons why.
Well, yeah, because love bombing is a short-lived, like spoiling someone, right? And then after that, you kind of take it back.
You don't want to be short-lived spoiled?
Oh, I'm looking for something long-term.
So,
but love bombing is just short-term, and then after that, you take it away, and it's like a power thing. Like you're teaching them a lesson.
No,
and that's where it becomes
toxic.
An issue. Yeah.
Yes.
We didn't talk about Pavlov's theory here. We just said love bombing. So it's not like negative reinforcement and positive reinforcement. But if that's how you do it, then I need to learn that shit. No, I'm just kidding. No, so, okay. I'm talking about somebody who wears their heart on their sleeve, right? Initially, when you meet somebody, instead of having so many reservations, like you gave me a story of when you first started dating, right? You said you spent an inordinate amount of time with her up front, right?
Yeah, extraordinary. For our first date was like 10 hours. It was crazy. Like,
and then you said the next subsequent dates, right, were back to back pretty much. So you spent a lot of time. I would consider that kind of like a love bombing situation, right? Because like you're showing her, hey, I want to spend time with you, and I'm organizing these gestures to spend time with you, whether it's the restaurant or whatever it is, right? And you're showing a lot of upfront effort, right? Isn't that what love bombing is? Or you're saying if he wasn't consistent about that, then that would have been love bombing. But in his case, you were pretty consistent about it, so it wasn't love bombing.
Yeah, and she was as well. I mean, it wasn't like I was forcing her to go out with me or anything like that. We would just go out, and conversation just drags on and on. The place closes. We have to go to another place. We go to the next bar. That bar closes. Now we're chatting in the parking lot. This is not forced, right? If it's not forced, I think it's not love bombing. Even if it is, it's not.
You
toxic.
definitely love bombed her, bro.
I did.
You 100%. That sounds to me like a crazy love bomber.
I don't know. Like she was doing the same to me.
Yeah,
though. Why,
she
why
love bombed your
her
because
You're in the hot seat.
because the dog always chases the cat, my friend. So okay, you personally, Miley, if he did the same thing to you, how would you have perceived that? He wanted to spend 10 hours with you on the first date. He organized restaurants. The very next date with you.
I didn't want to. That's what happened. Like I wasn't planning to stay with her for 10 hours at all. Like, it was our first date.
I could only imagine. Like I don't go into a date thinking that either. You probably went there like, oh, dates last 2 hours, right?
Yeah,
3 hours.
Gonna be home by 10. And
and the shit went for 10 hours. Like where did the fucking time go?
Yeah,
that's hilarious. Okay, so you went on a date with this dude. He did the same thing to you, and then he asked you out the very next day to another restaurant.
Mhm.
How are you perceiving that?
He's really into me, but I don't know. I'm kind of busy, so that probably wouldn't happen.
yeah.
And it might mess up the momentum, but I think if he's really into me, then that shouldn't be a problem. Like,
No, you don't deserve him. Because that girl did reciprocate, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And if she didn't reciprocate
she's-
in that moment, do you think you'd be a year later with her, or do you think there would be a little bit of a different dynamic?
it'll be different. Yeah. And if she wasn't reciprocating, I wouldn't do it either, right? It was just naturally happening. And she works very hard too, works for a business consulting company, like 14-hour days all the time. And we weren't sleeping during that first week of our relationship. We were just going out so much until like 4 a.m. And then we have an 8 a.m. meeting. We just wouldn't sleep, like a couple hours of sleep, back to work kind of thing.
oh, that's so cute.
And yeah, it was, that's why
it is
I call
cute,
it
and
an
you know
anomaly,
what? And it's also
right?
love bombing.
It is love bombing. And it is exactly why love is stupid, right? This is didn't make any sense, but we were doing it anyway. So that's why I say it's an anomaly.
I think that you should wear your heart on a sleeve, even though games work. I get that, like you play the hot and cold games, and they, kind of spark someone's intrigue and mystery and all that bullshit. It works, but at the same time, if you just pour out all your emotions and your feelings, and it's being reciprocated, then that's a match right there, right? If you love bomb and it didn't get reciprocated, like the girl who didn't, want to go on the second date.
I would
the very next
reciprocate, but it
day.
would just not be as intense.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's different levels of love bombing, right? This motherfucker is a master love bomber.
Well, he's in a relationship and he's happy, so good for him.
Yeah, whatever he did fucking worked, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of in that camp too. It's like I want to show you how I feel right up front, and if you take it for that, cool. If not, cool, whatever. But I showed you, right? And is that kind of how you operate? Like you shoot your shot, you don't fucking care what and then you just see what happens out of that.
But then, since then, how's your relationship? Like, is it's
Yeah.
still good,
Is it
right? Like, you guys are
sustainable?
It's still good, still similar. We spend a lot of time together.
You're going to
but
Cabo, right?
Like we live together. Even when we're like spending a full week together, living in the same place, we just tell each other like, "Hey, I need to be alone. Go away." Right? And I'd go out, sit on the
Shoot.
balcony. We do that too. Like you have to do that and the love bombing as well, so it works together. I think, and I'm an expert on this.
You're an expert at asshole, hot and cold. Sweet nothing's lover boy, and then turn into an asshole right away.
No, I need my time too, man. I need to grab a glass of whiskey and sit quietly and don't talk to anyone. ever.
Roses are red, violets
That's
are blue.
important.
Get the fuck away from me, like I do to you.
Right.
Oh my god!
There you
Did
go.
just come up
That's
with that.
That's romantic.
Okay, so love bombing doesn't mean that you can be that consistent all the time. And whoever thinks that is a fool. But is it really the girl's fault? Is she really a fool for thinking that? For the dude love bombing her like that, thinking that that was forever?
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with, appreciating a guy that's spoiling you, whatever. But
It's when he totally 180s.
yeah, it's when he flips. I think that's.
It's not even close. It's totally night and day. It's not like
Mhm.
we spent 10 hours on a date and now we're spending 1 hour. It's like we spent 10, now we don't even fucking see each other, or you don't
He's
do
just
none
not-
of that
He
shit.
just stops responding to texts or things
Right.
like that. Yeah.
Okay. So there's nothing with love vomiting, but love bombing is different.
Yeah. That's a good term.
All right, you guys, we've been at it for 1 hour and 40, and I know the batteries have held up well, but they're probably going to cut out soon. So I am